Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing another tier list. Surprise, surprise. There is absolutely no surprise there at all. Today I'm going to be ranking every single killer in Dead by Daylight, from best to worst in terms of their design. I'm going to go through all 37 killer designs in the game, and we're going to figure out which one is the best one. There's a lot of them to get through. There are absolutely loads of them to get through, and it shouldn't take me too long, but I can't promise this video won't be a million years long, so you're going to just have to bear with me. We're going to get right to it. Let this be known, I'm not basing it off of how fun they are to play. This is all appearance based, because if it was how fun they are to play, then it would be a completely different list altogether. Let's also let it be known that only one killer can achieve the Golden Machete Award at the top. That is replacing my S tier that I have for my other videos. So by the end of this video, we will find out which killer in the whole game has the best design. Let's start off with the twins. In terms of her design, her and Victor, I'm lumping them together here. In terms of their design, I think they're really cool. I think they've got a really cool design. I love the colors that they've used. I think she looks intimidating. She looks threatening. She looks really threatening, and she's quite scary when you're playing against her. I love torn, raggedy clothing. In horror games, I'm not the biggest fan of really clean-looking killers, unless the story really calls for it. So I'm a big fan of twins in that regard. I think her design deserves a solid B tier rating. I really do like the twins design. I think it's cool. I wish they would do more with the actual killer itself. I think they could do so much more gameplay wise, but again, that's not the topic of the video right now. I think Victor bumps her rating up as well. Victor's got such a cool design. He was the first tiny killer in the game before Chucky became a thing. And I just love the way that he slots into her body as well. It's so creepy. It's so weird. It's disgusting. The twins looks disgusting, and that's what we want from a killer. Which brings me to the Trickster. This is a design I'm not a fan of, and I've never been a fan of. I don't like the Trickster's design. It kind of looks like the Joker. It reminds me of the Joker. Please excuse me for saying that. I feel like some people love the Trickster's design. I'm really not a fan. He looks too clean. I know he's bloodied up and his costume is all destroyed, as well as his cosmetics. I'm not bringing cosmetics into the equation here, but his cosmetics as well as his base kit outfit, he just looks kind of out of place. I just feel like he looks out of place. If you're playing on the swamp map and everyone's wearing really dark cosmetics and then you've got this neon highlighter colored killer coming after you, it just doesn't sit well with me. I don't really like Trickster's design. Too clean, too bright, and just doesn't really fit the aesthetic of DBD. DBD's always been a really gritty, down and dirty aesthetic in my eyes, and he just doesn't really fit with that. So in my opinion, Trickster is going straight into the D tier. I don't really like the design at all. It's not one of my favorites. There's so many better killers that Behavior have designed, and this one, unfortunately for me, was a miss. Next up, we have the Spirit. The Spirit's a really cool design. I really love the Spirit's design. It really goes in well with her lore. All the floating body parts as well, all over the place. It's such a cool touch. The bandages are really nice. The really pale blue skin tone, the completely whited out eyes, the hair flowing all over the place. It's just scary. Her walk animation as well is absolutely terrifying, but this isn't a walk animation tier list. Hey guys, welcome back to a tier list. Today I'm going to rank how killers walk in DBD. I don't know, maybe if this video does well, I will do that. I've just put myself into a corner because you watch this video do really well now. The Spirit is going to go straight into the A tier. The Spirit is a great design for a killer. I really, really like the Spirit's design. She looks amazing. Absolutely beautiful design for a killer in a video game. She's genuinely terrifying to look at. The Death Slinger. I love the Death Slinger as a killer. Just overall, I think the Death Slinger's got such a cool vibe to him. The only Western killer in the game, and I love Western themed stuff. When are we getting a Arthur Morgan killer, guys? She love me. Now watch out, I'm going to A tier. That's right, Death Slinger is going into the A tier. I love the design. He looks so cool. He kind of looks like Micah Bell from Red Dead 2. Do you know what I mean? He really does look like Micah Bell. I'm not biased because I love Micah as well. I love Micah as a character. That has nothing to do with me ranking Deathslinger in the A tier, but I just think Deathslinger looks so cool. All of his cosmetics are really cool as well, and that doesn't affect his overall rating because I'm just rating default skins, but I really do like it. I really like the Deathslinger's design. He's so unique and creative in comparison to all the other killers, and all of his colors, the color palette they've used for him is really dark and dingy, and it fits the aesthetic of DBD no matter what map you're playing on, maybe besides Haddonfield. Next up, we've got the Singularity. This is a weird one because some of Singularity's cosmetics I really like, especially the one in the current tome. As of the Castlevania update, the current tome they've got going on with like the red hot skin, I really, really like that one. But we're ranking default skins here, and if it's just default skins we're talking about, unfortunately the Singularity is going to have to join Trickster in the D tier. I just think he looks out of place on most maps. His color palette isn't quite as stark and sticky out like a sore thumb like Trickster's is for me, but he doesn't really fit in with the rest of the killers. I think I'm going to have to put him in the D tier. He just looks too out of place. The design is a bit all over the place as well. It's cool, don't get me wrong, and I think his cosmetics actually look better than his base skin, but the base skin for me, it's not a favorite. I'm not the biggest fan of it, and so I'm going to put him in the D tier, which is a shame because when you take in other things into the equation, like his Mori and things like that, I think he's a really cool killer. But in terms of design, he's going to have to be in the D tier for me, unfortunately. I'm very sorry, Singularity fans. Next up, we have Sadako, or Samara, which version of the ring you watched, I have no idea. I know her as Sadako, a lot of people know her as Samara. The girl from the ring, okay? The girl from the ring in the well, in the TV, on the tape. You understand? That one. The creepy killer with the hair over her face. She's got a really cool design. It's really simple. It's really nice. It's effective. It's scary. I think she fits in most maps. She slots into the game perfectly. She's got such a cool design. Horror is best done when it's simple, and I think Sadako's design is such a good representation of that. She looks amazing. I think she looks great. She's such a good looking killer. I'm going to put her straight into the B tier. There's not much to say about her design other than it's just creepy, man. It's just absolutely terrifying. Simplicity over complexity. She looks great. Well, complexity, unless it's done really, really well, because really well done complexity is top tier stuff. Next, we have the Plague. The Plague is a strange one for me. I like the Plague's design, but I feel like there are some things about it I would have changed. I like the half-withered look she's got going on, but overall, I feel like there's a bit much going on with it, and I know that's kind of lore accurate. She's supposed to look like a goddess, but I just don't really like the look of the headdress we've got going on here. There's just a lot of lines. There's a lot going on with it. It's a lot to look at, a lot to take in. I think her design fits her lore perfectly, but personally, I don't like it as much as some of the other killers. I feel like she looks out of place on a lot of the maps, and for that reason, I'm going to put her in the C tier. I feel like I'm going to be annoying a lot of people with this tier list. It's just, this is all personal. It's all personal, I promise. It's all personal for me, not for you. Please, let's not start any beef here, guys. I really dig her design. I think she looks really, really good. I'm a massive fan of it, but like, there is a lot going on with the base cosmetic. If we were ranking other cosmetics very similar to Singularity, she would be moved up based on her default appearance, her like canonical appearance, I suppose you could put it. I don't really know. I'm going to put her in the C tier. If I could put a tier in between these two, maybe she would be in there. She'd be like halfway to B and C, but for now we're going to put her in C. Maybe later on in the video I will rearrange this a little bit, because I do that sometimes at the end of my tier lists, and I will rearrange things if my opinion changes. But for now, she's going to find a nice cozy home in the C tier, which isn't bad. It's not bad. The only bad tier is D tier. C is just kind of like, yeah, it's okay. It's cool. It's all right. B tier is more of a, it's good. A tier is it's amazing, and the golden machete is reserved for the best of the best. Next up, we have Pinhead, the Cenobite, the Cenobite. I really like Pinhead's design. I've always liked Pinhead's design. In terms of him and Plague, I feel like they've got a similar aesthetic, if that makes any sense. I think Pinhead's is a little bit less harsh on the eyes. I really like it. It blends that complexity and simplicity really well, which is what I like in horror villains. I like when they've got really well done complexity, and Pinhead is a perfect example of a killer that has perfectly done complexity. I know they didn't design him. I know that he was designed for the movie Hellraiser, but it's a really good movie, by the way. It's a really, really good movie. I have a beaten up poster of it here. I really like this movie. I really like the first Hellraiser movie. It's really good. You can tell how much I love Pinhead. I love you, buddy. I love you so much. With that being said, it's not my favorite design, but it is good. I'm going to put him in the B tier. I think he goes with the twins and Sadako in terms of his design. He fits in most maps. I don't think he looks out of place anywhere. He seems to just slot in for me wherever he is. He looks great on all maps. I think the swamp is probably the map for me that he stands out the most on. But overall, I really like the design. It's a really solid design. The pig. The pig. Now, here's an interesting one. This is the first time of many times you're probably going to hear me mention this in this video. In the Saw movies, I love Amanda's design. She looks great. The pig mask looks flawless. And even when she doesn't have the pig mask on, I think her costume design is amazing. When it comes to Dead by Daylight, something about the mask or helmet, whatever you want to call it, the pig head, looks a bit off. It looks like a real pig's head that they've slotted onto her, and I don't like that as much as it looking like a pig mask, which is, I believe, what it's supposed to be in the movies. In fact, it is what that's supposed to be in the movies, because in Saw 3 you see that. At least I'm pretty sure it is. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. For that reason, I'm gonna put the pig in the B tier. The pig would be in A tier if the mask looked a bit different, or even if we could swap her head out for one of her cosmetic heads, I think she would move up to A tier, but we can't be doing that, otherwise we'd be here all day. We are just going with default looks, as I've said a million times now. Ronnie, you don't need to keep doing that, man. She's going to go in B tier with Pinhead, Sadako, and the twins. Really, really nice design, amazing design, but not quite enough for me to want to put her in the A tier. Next up, we've got the Oni. The Oni's a design that I like. Don't get me wrong, I like. But there is a lot going on, and something about him just feels off for me. I think as a character, he's really well designed, just like the Plague. But something about his design doesn't quite fit the game. Again, personal opinion. For that reason, he's going to go into the C tier with the Plague. He's not got a bad design by any means. He looks good, he looks threatening and intimidating, but for a hulking brute of a killer, I think he looks off. Dead by Daylight's got a lot of hulking brute killers, and a lot of them look infinitely better than the Oni in my opinion, but I think in terms of the Oni, he's going to have to go into the C tier. He looks really cool. I love his big club that he uses. It looks great. I love the sword. I feel like maybe if he lost the sword and just used the club as a weapon, he would look a lot cooler, and that might change his design a little bit if he was constantly wielding the club. I don't know, just some small tweaks here and there, a few details here and there. Maybe if the mask was brown instead of stark red, I would have liked that a bit more. If the mask was brown and the eyes were like a glowing white, I think that might do it a bit better for me, but it's not that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go put him in the C tier alongside the Plague. Next up, we have the Nurse. The Nurse is very reminiscent of Silent Hill nurses. I've always liked the Nurse's design. It's cool. It is really, really cool. I like it. I do like it. It's simple. Again, it's a simple design that really gets the job done. I love the pillowcase, and you can see that there's something under there, and no one really knows. I mean, we do know what the Nurse looks like because there's skins, but before they came out, this is all we had of the Nurse. This is all we knew of her, and her face was completely covered. We didn't know what her hair looked like. We didn't know what her face looked like. All we had were these bloody imprints on the mask or the pillowcase or whatever it might be. I think it's a pillowcase, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. On the eyes and the mouth, so that you can see she was bleeding from these orifices. Orifice? Is that the right word? Orifice? She was bleeding from these orifices at some point in time. For that reason, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put her in the B tier. Not as cool as the Spirit or the Death Slinger, in my opinion, but she is really nice. She's really cool. Simplicity done right. Again, simplicity and horror wins. Such a cool design. Really, really nice. Next up, we've got Nemesis. Nemesis is an interesting design. Again, Resident Evil. Nemesis's design, it's nice, but there's things about it. And I suppose at this point, I'm critiquing just the character design, not DBD design. But again, this is, you know what I mean. Nemesis design looks nice. I do like it. In terms of a big hulking brute, this is what you want to see. But then again, there's things about him. He looks very shiny. All the wires coming off him are cool, but it's not the most aesthetically pleasing for me personally. This is very much just a personal opinion. This is probably out of all of them so far the most personal opinion based one that I've got. There's one thing I do really like about his outfit though, and I'll say that now. It almost looks like it's made out of duct tape, and just looking at him makes me feel claustrophobic and restrained, because imagine being wrapped in duct tape so much that it looks like you're wearing a suit, and think about how much that would restrict your movement. I just feel claustrophobic looking at him. So that is a redeeming factor of his design. I think he does look really cool for that. He makes me uncomfortable to look at, but I don't think he's on the level of the likes of the twins, the pig, Sadako, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put him in the C tier with the Oni and the Plague. Next up, Michael Myers, the Shape. This is a heartbreaking one for me because I wish I could give him the golden machete, but I can't. I love Michael's design. Michael's design in general I mean, Michael's one of my favorite slasher horror characters of all time, if not my favorite one. He's one of my favorite characters in general. Is it weird to say he's my comfort character? I feel like that's weird to say he's my comfort character. Guys, I don't know how to feel about that. I've just said that out loud. His design in DBD is reminiscent of a different time, when Dead by Daylight was nowhere near as big as it is now, and it had a much smaller dev team, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Again, I'm pretty sure they had a much smaller dev team back then. I've said this to people in recent time. I feel like he looks as though he's made out of Play-Doh. The mask has the wrong hair color. The hair is a stark black. One of the eye holes on the mask is visibly bigger than the other, which is again an inaccuracy. His knife is absolutely huge, and speaking of things that are absolutely huge on Myers, I'm not about to say what you think I'm about to say, although I wish I was, not gonna lie. His knife and his hands. Look at the size of his hands. And then the knife in comparison, it's huge. His hands are massive. Look at his hands. His hands are so big. Why are his hands so big? He's just really strangely disproportionate. The coveralls are also the wrong color. The coveralls are meant to be a spruce green, but they're quite a distinct navy blue. Although in that picture there, they do look like a charcoal gray, so you could argue it's the 2018 coveralls, but this game came out 2 years before Halloween 2018 came out, so I don't think we can make that argument. His boots are also brown in the game, and that's wrong too. He's always worn black boots, or at least the part of the boots that are visible are black. In the 1978 Halloween, I'm pretty sure they had green on them, or like a browny green, because he was wearing jungle boots in that movie, which is what this is based off of. But in that movie, you can only see the black on the boots. He's meant to have black boots. So the mask has inaccuracies. It doesn't look like any of the Halloween masks. It looks enough like Michael, so that's probably my least extreme problem I have with his character model. The hair is completely wrong. It's too short, and compared to the new hair that they've got in the game, because obviously just they've gotten better with it over time, it doesn't look anywhere near as good. The hair's too short, it's the wrong color, his hands are too big, the coveralls are the wrong color, the boots are the wrong color, the knife is huge, and I just think overall he doesn't quite look like Michael Myers as we know him. I feel like we're so used to this version of Michael Myers now because he's been in the game for so long that we just don't really have a problem with it and we just accept it. But I would love to see him get a model update because I know what the DBD team can do now, and they're absolutely amazing at modeling their characters these days. So I would love to see him get a graphical update at some point. If there is a Dead by Daylight developer watching this right now, please, we are clamoring for this. With all that being said, he does still look nice, and I do like how he looks. He's got a charm to him. He is definitely a relic of his time, maybe alongside Freddy, that looks like this. I wouldn't say he looks bad, but I also wouldn't say he looks great either. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put him in the C tier, which pains me so much because he could be so much higher on the list. But in terms of his current character model, I'm going to have to put him in the C tier just because of how much amazing stuff we've had since that does look better. And I'm taking my personal opinion out of it because I do play Myers a lot. I play a lot of Michael Myers in the game, and I love how he plays as well. He just needs a bit of a rework. And obviously I love the franchise to death. It's just this specific character model, if I have to just rank it on its own, it's not as good as the likes of Pinhead, the Pig, and Sadako. You know, he could look so much better. The Skull Merchant, worst looking killer in the game. I would rather every killer is dressed like the Trickster than Skull Merchant. I always felt like she looks like an Overwatch character. She looks like a character from a completely different video game with a bloody skin, and they just slapped her in the game. I really don't like how this character looks at all. It's just not for me. It's not my cup of tea. I know some people absolutely love it. I don't like playing against the Skull Merchant. I don't like how she looks. I don't really like her chase music all that much. I'm not the biggest fan. Just everything about her I don't like. I'm just not a Skull Merchant fan. That sounds really harsh. I feel like I've just been really harsh. I'm so sorry. She's going straight in the D tier. There's nothing else to say about it. I just don't like how she looks at all. But at least now we know we can't get any worse. So, Skull Merchant, bottom of the barrel, cannot get worse than the Skull Merchant. She just doesn't look in place on any of the maps. She looks out of place on the map that she was made for, I'm pretty sure. The map that she got, she looks out of place on that. It's too sci-fi, even more sci-fi than Singularity, and I don't know how that managed to happen, but she just looks so out of place. I don't like her design at all. More so than any gameplay problems. I would rather have all the gameplay problems she's got, but just with a reworked character design. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. I'm not a fan, I'm so sorry. Next up is the Legion. The Legion is a cool killer. Cool looking killer. really cool cosmetics that make them look a lot better than the base one. But I think all of the Legion members' base kit just look a bit bland. I know they're just supposed to be a group of teenagers in masks. That's cool. That's the lore reason behind it. But they still look a bit bland. In my Michael Myers mask ranking, I talked about the Halloween 6 design and how even though in that movie Michael looked kind of scary, he still looked bland, and I'm not going to let my personal opinion of the lore get in the way of my opinion on the designs. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the Legion in C tier for design. Looks cool. With a few tweaks, I feel like they could look a lot better. Not bad by any means. Not a bad design, but not the best, and could definitely be improved by some tweaks, because there's a difference between simplicity and being bland, and I think Legion slightly leans towards being bland more than simple. Next up, we've got the Knight. The Knight is a really cool looking killer in my opinion. Really great design. I'm gonna go ahead and just straight away put the Knight in the B tier. I really like the medieval vibe that he's got. I'll keep him enlarged for now. I don't like playing against the Knight. I struggle against the Knight so bad. I always get stomped, and it makes me very upset. But in terms of how the Knight looks really cool. The hair hanging out of the front of the mask. The armor looks really cool. It's very intricate and complex, but at the same time, it all merges together in such a way that it looks simple and it flows seamlessly. I love all the ragged little capey bits that he's got on him. He just looks amazing. I think the character design is really cool. Not a favorite. I don't like it as much as Spirit or Deathslinger, but definitely up there for sure. Definitely really nice. And the massive broadsword that he carries over his shoulder the whole time, it just looks amazing. Just looks really cool. Really nice design. The Hillbilly. I really like this one. This one's cool. Definitely has an element of bland to it, but not too much. It's not quite like the Legion, where the Legion leans too heavy in the bland. I feel like Hillbilly leans into looking bland in a good way. It works for the Hillbilly. There's a lot of simplicity with it. A white tank top, jeans, and a chainsaw. Really simple, really nice. And his face is all stretched out. I don't even know if this is skin or what this is on his face. I think it's his skin. But it looks like a mask, like his skin is stretched over his left eye, and it looks really cool. I really like Billy's design. Really nice. One of the base kit killers. I think he might look the best out of the original killers, to be honest with you. He actually looks scary. I would not want to run into him in a dark alley at night. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be bold with this. I'm going to put Hillbilly in the A tier. Really nice, simple character design. Obviously heavily inspired by Leatherface. Looks really good. Looks really good. Really scary design. Simplicity done right. Like I said before, simplicity in horror gets the job done. Next up is the Wraith. The Wraith is cool. Very cool. I feel like his color palette is a bit too pastel. He's a little bit too dull in terms of his colors, and there's a lot of details on the Wraith that are lost in the color palette that was chosen for him, which is a shame, because I think the design in itself is quite nice, but the color palette just lets it down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put the Wraith in the C tier, because I feel like he could be bumped up to B on the level of Nurse and Pinhead and such in the B tier, but something about him, he just looks a bit too dull for my liking. And I understand he's a stealth killer, he's supposed to look stealthy and blend in, but there's other stealth killers in the game that don't quite look like that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the Wraith in the C tier alongside the Legion, Myers, Nemesis, Oni, and Plague. Not my favorite design, but still nice nonetheless. Next up, we've got the Trapper. What a classic. What a classic. Even though these are rare to see in the wild these days, he is still the mascot of the game and still has one of the coolest designs I've seen out of any killer in this game. He looks phenomenal. He looks so cool. I really love the mask. I love how it looks like it's made out of like a tree bark or wood or something, and it's all bound together by this metal wire that it looks like he's bent into shape. It looks so good. These really thick looking straps on his shoulder as well. The rubbery leather overalls he's wearing too. He looks like he's made out of machinery parts, and I think these parts on his right shoulder there that hold his leather overalls in place are ratchets. They're ratchets that you used. Not ratchets, I don't know what you'd call them. They're not called ratchets, but I've seen those used before in real life on actual machinery and things. And they're usually used to hold two things together. And you twist them together like that, and there's two little holes in the end that you slot things into. It looks really cool. It looks really, really cool. Really intimidating, imposing design. And his weapons look really cool and creative. They look like a mishmash of machinery parts. He looks great. He looks so good. I'm going to put the Trapper in the A tier. The Trapper has a really, really nice design. And even with all the new killer designs these days, their mascot killer still has one of the best designs in the game. I'm a big fan. The Huntress. The Huntress, what a nice design. What a nice design for a killer. This one's really difficult. I don't know whether to put the Huntress in A or B. I'm leaning towards B just because I don't like her design as much as the other killers in the A tier. I do think she looks really, really good though. She's very lore accurate. She looks really, really good. I love this kind of like this mask that she's got on. I love the Huntress's mask. It looks so cool. I really want to get one in real life or just make one. It looks really nice with all the cracks in it and all the right places. It reminds me of the Halloween 2018 mask. And the way that you design a mask to look weathered and withered. You put all the cracks in all the right places so that it looks aesthetically pleasing. That's what they've done with the Huntress. I think she looks phenomenal. She looks great. You know what? I'm going to be nice to the Huntress. Such a good design. A woodland killer, a woodland hunting killer. I'm going to go ahead and put the Huntress where she belongs. She belongs in the A tier. One of the best designs among the original killers. She looks great. She looks so good. Such a good outfit. Fits her lore perfectly. Not that that's coming into play with how I think she looks, but it's a nice bonus because some of the other killers, their designs don't quite fit their lore as well. But the Huntress is one of the best killers in that regard as well, so that's a nice plus. I just love the mask. The mask is so cool, and the eyes too. The way the eyes blend into the mask as well. Like, it almost looks like she's got actually like full big bulging eyes. You can see there. It almost looks like you don't know where her real eyes start. It's such a nice design. Such a good design. I love the veil on the back of the mask as well. She looks great. Such a good killer. Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head is a tough one to rank. Such a tough killer to rank. I really don't know where to put him. I really, really don't. It's so difficult. I want to put him in the A tier, but I just don't know. He looks really cool. I've always loved Pyramid Head's design. It's so strange and intimidating. This is how you design a big brute. This is what a big brute should look like. He looks so cool. He looks so cool. I'm gonna put him in A. I'm gonna put him in A. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. There you go, buddy. That's where you belong. You belong in the A tier. Pyramid Head has such a cool design. I love it. I love it so much. And it's definitely on par with Spirit, Deathslinger, Billy, Trapper, and Huntress. Definitely. 100%. I was going to try and justify putting him in B, but I like his design way too much. Like I said before, A is great, B is good, C is okay, and D is bad. Pretty much. That's usually how I do these things. The Hag. The Hag is an interesting one. Really, really interesting. I think she looks cool and she definitely fits her lore, but there's something about it I think looks a little bit too one-dimensional. I think she could have done with a little bit of a change up. She looks like she's using the same texture all over her body, which is a shame because some of her cosmetics look incredible. They look like they're some of the best cosmetics in the game, but her base cosmetic is very bland. Again, this came from an age where DBD was just using washed out colors, and I know that might seem like I'm contradicting myself with what I said about Trickster earlier. You can use brighter colors without using neon colors in a game that is built around washed out colors. I just feel like the Hag looks too much like the environment, which is the point. I understand that is the point. But from my personal perspective, her overall design, I don't like it as much as some of the killers in B. I think she belongs in C. She's not got a bad design by any means. I understand why she's designed the way she is, but it's not one of my personal favorites. I'm going to go ahead and put her in the C tier. It's very similar to the Wraith. My opinion on the Hag is very, very similar to my opinion on how the Wraith is designed. Ghostface. Again, like Michael Myers, this one pains me to not give him the golden machete. I know, what a shock. What a surprise. If you couldn't tell by now what this is, there's a Ghostface mask on the wall, and I can feel it staring at me as I don't give Ghostface the golden machete award. but it has to be done. With Ghostface, they don't have Scream licensing, so you probably already know this by now, but Ghostface isn't licensed from the Scream movies. He's licensed by Funworld, the creators of the original Ghostface mask from the Fantastic Faces line back in the 90s before Scream even existed. And that is who Scream got the mask from. They actually licensed it. The mask isn't from Scream at all. So they only have the license to use the mask and the name Ghostface, not Scream Ghostface, not the Scream killer, so to speak. So instead of giving him the robe from Scream with all the sparkles on it, they've given him this unique design, which I really think is nice because I know they added the Funworld robe as a skin called Classic Robe or Classic Ghostface, and they could have just used that as his base cosmetic, and I'll be honest, if they had done that, Ghostface would be up there in terms of his ranking. He would be in the A tier, but he is not in the A tier. Ghostface is in the B tier. I like this new outfit they've given him, but it looks a little bit much. He kind of looks like if Ghostface was in the MCU. Does that make any sense? That's how it looks to me. It looks like if Ghostface was an MCU character, this is what his costume would be. And so I'm going to put him in the B tier for that reason, because I feel like his costume looks like it's got a bit much going on. And the design appeal for Ghostface for me is that he is simple. His costume is simple. It's a simple Halloween outfit. It's a very literally a cheap Halloween outfit, because back in the 90s, Funworld Ghostface masks were found at every dollar store or pound shop going. They were really, really cheap masks back then, and now obviously they're not. And they're made slightly differently, and they go for a lot more money, I'll tell you that much. So overall, I think he's got a really cool design. I like the new costume. It's not quite what I'm looking for in a Ghostface outfit. I think his Funworld robe looks perfect. His other cosmetics, they would definitely be an A tier, but his base default cosmetic, it's not my favorite. Freddy Krueger. This is the remake Freddy without licensing rights for Jackie Earle Haley. So you can tell who it's supposed to be based on how the burns are and the glove. You can see this is the remake 2010 glove. It is remake Freddy, as if that wasn't public knowledge already. I like the design of remake Freddy. I always have. I always thought that his design looked good, but there are inaccuracies in the game, and I'll go over them now. They're very, very minor, and I feel like, actually I said inaccuracies, but I feel like there is only one, because his height is just about right as well. Jackie Earle Haley is 5'6", if I'm not mistaken, and Freddy is quite short in the game. So they've got that really on the head with that. They've got the nail on the head. In this picture, you can see his sweater is a dark green and a dark red. Again, this came out at a time where killers were just more washed out in terms of how they were designed anyway. In the game, Freddy's sweater is black and red, not green and red. And Freddy has never worn a black and red sweater in any of the movies, especially not the 2010 remake that this is based on. And just like Michael Myers, it's an inaccuracy that kind of bothers me personally. So I'm going to bump him down for that. I'm going to put Freddy in the C tier. I feel like if they just fixed the inaccuracy and made the green instead of the black, I would like his design a lot more in this game. But in terms of how he looks currently, he belongs in the C tier, and he's going to have to stay there. Next up, we've got the Dredge. The Dredge, such a good design. I love these weird monster killers. They look so good. So good. Dredge fits on any map. I love Dredge's lore. I just love everything about the Dredge, but his design specifically, since that's what we're talking about, looks amazing. I love him. He looks like a weird worm, slug, shark. He looks so good. Again, he looks fairly complex and intricate, but he's done so well, so masterfully, down to the last minute details. He looks great. He looks amazing. He's going straight in the A tier. Such a well-designed killer that has nowhere else on this tier list to go besides right at the top. Not to mention, he just looks downright horrifying. I would hate to see the Dredge floating towards me. And there's also a sense of unknown about the design as well, because of the black fog underneath him that he uses instead of legs. So there's a part of him that we're not seeing. We don't really know what's inside the fog, and that element of unknown is quite terrifying. Dracula. We've got Castlevania's Dracula. Dracula is nice. Dracula does look good, and I think he looks cool, and this is where it's difficult for me, because he looks cool, but he's not a favorite. This one again I have less to say about him from like a design standpoint and more just like personal preference. He looks cool, but he's not as aesthetically pleasing to me as a lot of the other killers in the game. He's gonna go in the C tier for me. He's not bad, but he definitely could be better. I know he is from Castlevania, and they are designing him based on his look in Castlevania. For me personally, C tier is where he goes. There's just something about him. It's not favorite. It's just not a favorite of mine. I don't know what else to say about it. He looks cool. He does look really cool, don't get me wrong, but it's not a favorite. And all the B tier killers, I love their designs a lot more than I like Dracula's. The Doctor. What a well-designed killer. He looks terrifying. His old design used to scare me senseless when I first started playing the game. When the Doctor first came out, the Doctor really scared me. I really like how he looks. His eyes being held open, his mouth being held open, the electrical things attached to his head that are constantly sparking. I've always had a fear of electrocution. It's a really big fear of mine. And I mean, I don't know who would like to be electrocuted. I mean, let's not get into that conversation. I regret bringing that up. I just don't really like the idea of being tied down and having all these things strapped to me and then being electrocuted to death. It sounds horrible. Like being fried to death is not on the agenda for this year or the next or any. He's a terrifying killer with a really imposing design. And for that reason, he's going to go in the B tier. I'm going to have to start shrinking the character portraits. I just realized there are 37 of these killers and I'm not giving them enough breathing room at all. Next up, the Demogorgon. The Demogorgon, really, really nice monster design. Again, simplicity done right. The Demogorgon used to scare me when I first started playing the game. It unsettled me. I did not like him chasing me at all. Really, really nice design. I really love how Demogorgon looks. He looks really leathery and fleshy and horrible, and the idea of being sucked into this weird flowery hole that he's got on his head and then having your brain sucked out through it, horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. He's going to go right into the B tier because, again, I don't think he looks as good as the likes of the Dredge, the Huntress, and Pyramid Head and stuff, but he's definitely up there. He's definitely up there. Really, really cool design. I like how he looks. The Clown. The Clown. What a killer. Genuinely terrifying design. You want to talk about Burger King Myers? Let's talk about Burger King Clown, man. Clowns don't really scare me, but the Clown's design in Dead by Daylight genuinely did frighten me for a long time. I think he looks really, really scary. In terms of a horror villain, one of the best looking ones. Such a creepy and imposing design. I really love how the Clown looks. The Clown is up there. I don't think he looks as good as some of the killers in A tier, but for that reason, I'm going to put him in the B tier. Clown is going to go straight into B, exactly where Clown belongs. I think the fact that he's so huge, he's so out of shape. I think his belly has jiggle physics, if I'm not mistaken, which is really funny. The design, the little scalpel that he flips around. He looks so good on pretty much every map in the game, maybe except Hawkins, I think, would be the one map that stands out for me. He's like something out of a nightmare. I love the Clown's design, so good. Chucky. Chucky, Chucky, Chucky. I love Chucky so much. Chucky's so cool. One of my favorite slashes. Such a cool character, but his design in general is so good. He's a killer doll done right. It's such a good design. Chucky is so perfect in every single way. I don't know what else to say about it. His design is great for what he is. That childlike innocence that he shows on a surface level, but just knowing there's something more evil underneath is really unsettling. And the way he is designed, he looks so good because nothing about him is intimidating. He looks cute. He actually looks really cute, which is exactly what they're going for. But there is something about it that is slightly unsettling and also cool. I don't know how to explain this, but the good guy dolls look cool. How is that possible? Why does my brain make that connection? Someone explain that to me. Really cool looking killer. I know that he was designed back in the 80s and not any recent time. And it has nothing to do with DBD. His DBD model also looks perfect. He looks good. He looks exactly how you'd expect Chucky to look in a video game. Not 100% accurate. I feel like he could look more accurate. I think his bride skin looks a bit more accurate, but he looks accurate enough. He looks like a video game adaptation of Chucky from the movies, and he looks perfect. He's going to go into the A tier. Really, really nicely designed killer. He looks great. Really, really good. And I don't know if you want to count this, but Charles Lee Ray also looks really good. I'm going to count it as part of his base skin because it is used as his pickup animation. It doesn't really factor into where I'd rank him. Even without Charles Lee Ray, I would rank him in A tier, but it just adds to how cool I think this killer is and how he looks, especially when the ghost is holding the doll. Leatherface, a really cool killer design. I've always thought the Dead by Daylight version of Leatherface looks a bit strange. I think it's because he looks almost like a blend of Michael Myers and Leatherface, The blacked out eyes really throw me off, and the hair on the mask throws me off just a little bit. It feels a little bit too long, but that might just be me. He's another example of a killer that just has really big hands, but it fits because Leatherface is huge. So that's not too much of a problem. The actual design of Leatherface in general, I love. The only reason I'm going to be ranking Leatherface's design in the C tier is because there are certain things that are off about it in Dead by Daylight that I don't like as much as I do on the original design of Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw movie back from the 70s. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Leatherface in the C tier, which I feel like is a fair ranking for our Bubba boy. Let's put him there. There you go. Let's have a look at the Blight now. The Blight is a killer. I'm running out of space to display these killers as well, by the way. I don't know how to enlarge them. I'm just going to do it underneath my face cam right here. The Blight is a killer that looks really, really cool. Really, really unique design. I've always loved killers that have these weird burlap hoods. Really, really nice looking killer. I love all the goo coming out of his mouth, the elongated jaw. You can see the half mutated mouth coming off, the half mutated teeth sticking out of his mouth. He looks really, really cool. Looks like a volcano. His mouth looks like a volcano. I love it. I love his cloak. I love his hood. I love the little syringe stuck in his back. I love his little cane that he carries around. Such a nice looking killer. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put him in the B tier because I don't like his design as much as the A tier killers, but I still think he's up there. The artist. What a nice looking killer. She looks really, really simple. I love how the artist looks. Genuinely quite frightening, but there's an element of innocence there as well. Even without knowing anything about her lore, let's just take all her lore away. The vibe I get from this character is that she's an innocent person corrupted by evil, and she is forced to act this way, or she doesn't know why she's hurting people. That is the instant vibe I get from this character design. It's such a well-designed killer. Her outfit doesn't have too many intricacies, but where it is intricate, it is done so well down to the last minute detail. This killer belongs nowhere else but the A tier. The artist. What a nice looking killer. Such a good design. The Xenomorph. Alien. One of my favorite looking monsters in all the film, man. The alien is such a cool looking killer. I can't begin to express how much I love the alien's design in horror in general. It's always been one of the coolest looking killers in any movie. I love how it looks. Again, it looks so complex and intricate, but with this leathery black skin tone it's got going on, it looks so cool. It's kind of like the Wraith. It's the opposite of the problem I've got with the Wraith. The alien has so many intricate little details on her that she needed this black sheen to allow the lighting to do the detailing for her rather than have different colors on her. It's all black. It's all black, all the same color, but just the different levels of sheen on the different parts of the design really make the light reflect off it in all the right ways. I feel like the alien needs to go into the A tier. Such a good looking killer, so well designed. Doesn't belong in the B tier, which is just good. Exceptional. Always will be, always has been. Alien, we love you, Alien. Wesker. I'm not a fan of Wesker's design. I don't like Wesker's design. I think he just looks really basic and bland. I know he fits the game he's from, but we're ranking this based on how they look in Dead by Daylight. I don't think he really fits in with the rest of the killers. It's just a personal opinion. I like his design from a Resident Evil perspective. In Resident Evil, it fits. In Dead by Daylight, for some reason, I'm just not as big of a fan of how he looks. I would put him in the C tier, but I don't like how he looks as much as the other killers in the C tier. So unfortunately, Wesker, for the first time in quite a while actually, we're going to put a killer down in the D tier. In terms of, I just don't really like it. I'm not really a fan. There's nothing exceptional about it. Nothing really stands out. I just think he looks a bit bland. Next, we move on to Vecna. Now, there's only 2 killers left. Vecna looks amazing. Vecna looks exceptional. I think Vecna's design in this game is really cool. And it's an example of how you can do a killer that looks out there and has quite bright colors, but not too bright and too stand out-ish, I guess. I don't really know the word I want to use, but you know what I mean. Like Trickster is. I really like Vecna's design. I really, really like Vecna's design. I think Vecna looks so good. But I don't think he deserves the golden machete. I'm going to put Vecna in the A tier. He looks threatening, he looks intimidating, and one of the best looking god-like killers in the game. I feel like he's on the same level as Cenobite, Oni, Plague, and Knight, but I just think he looks better than all of them. I think he's got a really, really cool design about him, and he looks better than them all. Such an aesthetically pleasing killer, and I'm really glad that we got this version of Vecna and not the Stranger Things Vecna. I think this version of Vecna looks better. He looks so much cooler, and he's got a lot of intricacies that actually add to his character design, and all the colors they've used. His color palette is the main thing I love about him. The color palette looks great. It's a shame I've never played against him in game, but he looks great in game. And finally, we have the Unknown, the scariest looking killer in Dead by Daylight, and the winner of the Golden Machete Award, the best looking killer in the game. This thing is horrifying. I have never seen a scarier killer in my life that they've put in this game. This is by far the scariest killer they've ever put in the game. Without a terror radius, with an undetectable ability, the Unknown would be terrifying. They are absolutely horrifying to play against, so much fun to play as, and that's just the icing on the cake of what the design actually is. All the weird tentacles that come out of it make you think it's an alien, but then you see it wield this fire axe as if it's a human slasher, and then that has you questioning, wait, is this thing, what is this thing? Well, it's called the Unknown for a reason, right? Doesn't it make sense? It all adds up. This killer is perfect. This killer is so perfect. The base cosmetic is one of the scariest looking ones as well, which just adds to this. I don't know how you can improve on this design. It's such a cool design. I love how all the limbs are twisted. It looks like it's made out of Play-Doh, but not in a Michael Myers way, in a really, really cool way, and I love how the Unknown looks. My favorite looking killer in the whole game, the scariest looking killer. You can see that the eyes are not just black sockets, it's actual eye sockets that are hollowed out. That is horrible. This weird twisted smile on its face, it doesn't look like it's just doing a generic horror creepy smile. It looks like it's twisted that way accidentally. It really does look like an entity that is trying so hard to look like a human and blend in, but just can't. All of this fake human stuff really gets me in horror, and it's another reason that Alien Romulus got me as well. And if you've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. I won't spoil it because it's just come out fairly recently as of filming this video, so you should really go check that movie out. If you like what the Unknown looks like, go and watch Alien Romulus, because the final act of that movie will scare you senseless. I love the Unknown. Best looking killer in the game. I need to play more of them, and I think this is it. I think this is a solid tier list. It's funny that I put the Unknown at the top of the tier list because I own a teddy bear that looks like the Unknown. This is Six Piece. Everyone say hello, Six Piece. Six Piece says hello back. Everyone has met Six Piece now. We all know Six Piece. Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see what I'm talking about? Here's the Unknown, and here is Six Piece. Do you know what I mean? Does it make sense? Am I making any sense, or am I just waffling? I feel like I'm making a lot of sense. I'm making so much sense. Anyway, that is the end of the video. What a long video. I've been recording for an hour. I can't believe how long this video ended up being, but I had a lot of fun ranking these killers. I was so not ready for there to be 37 rankings. I'm so used to ranking like 9 or 10 things. Ranking 37 is insane, and also having something to say about each of them. I was not ready for that, but it was a lot of fun. So if you are a Dead by Daylight fan or just a horror fan and you agree or disagree with my ranking, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I'd love to hear what you would do differently. I'd love to hear what other killers you'd move around. Just let me know, man. Just let me know. Let's have a chat about it. But anyway, that is the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.